From the Spider-Verse to the Ozu-verse. This week, we'll be reviewing Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse live in concert and late spring.
This is the Film Angle.
Welcome to the Film Angle, a podcast where we dive deep into the latest releases and unearth the classics to better our cinephilic curiosity. I'm Alex.
And I'm Kris.
Let's get into it.
Is it just me? I feel like that's the first time I've ever properly just listened to you say the opening. Is it too much? Is it a declaration?
We'll let our fans decide. I think it's always good to have a, for the new listeners, of which there are many every episode, I'm sure.
And sometimes we dive deep. Sometimes it's more of a shallow dive.
Hey, you're selling yourself short.
It's always best to start with the expectations low, and then if it's really good, then people will be like, "Oh shit, this is a really good podcast." So. Yeah,
well, I hope most people come away thinking that.
We do try. We try
our best. And today we have something a little bit different. Still a film.
The most expensive film we've ever seen.
Yeah, we are going to be reviewing just the two films today. So we've got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which we have reviewed in a previous episode, but this time we saw it live in concert, and then we have our BFI blind spot on the Sight and Sound Greatest Films of All Time list, late spring.
Yeah.
Our first Ozu on the list.
Yes,
your first Ozu ever, Kris.
My first... You've seen another Ozu film?
Yes, I've seen one other of his.
Which was... Not to put you on the spot.
We spoke about it on the last episode.
You're stalling for time.
I'm stalling for time. What was it called? No, that's the one we just saw. It was Late Spring.
I don't think it's the only film that's
Good
called
Morning.
Good Morning.
I saw Good Morning.
Yes.
Has a lot more fart jokes in it, which you'd be surprised at.
I am surprised to hear that, actually.
Yeah. It's the one thing I remember from it. There's like quite a few fart jokes.
But isn't he's one of those filmmakers where every one of his films is kind of borderline regarded as a masterpiece. So, I'm really excited. Obviously, the next film we got to watch is Tokyo Story, really far up the list. So, we'll talk about that later on in the episode.
Yeah, don't give too much away.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, unless you have any other pressing matters, Kris, shall we jump into the Spider-Man Live?
Let's relive it.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Like I said, we have reviewed it previously when it came out. We were both big fans of the film. The sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This time round, Miles Morales gets... I don't know, how would you describe it? He mistakenly follows Gwen through a portal through to the Spider-Verse into a different dimension and starts ruining things only for the Spider Society, a society made up of many different spider people have to come and sort it out. And it ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger because it's a part one. If you haven't seen the film, well, you should. It's bloody excellent. And this time we saw it with a live orchestra in Bath. So yes, Saturday. And is this the first time you've ever seen anything like this, Kris?
Yeah, I mean, I think for every year I always see oh my god, they're doing A Nightmare Before Christmas live, they're doing Lord of the Rings live. I've got to get my ass to London to go see that in the wherever they're showing it at Royal Albert Hall or whatever. But this is the first time I've ever seen something like this, and it was a little bit random for us because I don't think it was as soon as this was announced we weren't on the button already. It was we kind of stumbled upon this. It was oh my god, this is such a great way to see a movie with an Oscar-nominated score. Daniel Pemberton, such a great composer. And we're both enthusiastic about the movie. Who isn't? It's a great film.
Yeah. Speak for yourself. I clearly was more involved in the tickets, Kris, because I was there on the pre-sale tickets.
Oh yeah, I knew nothing about it. Sorry to put words in your mouth. I knew nothing about this. Sorry, I'm the idiot.
I was there at 9 a.m. sweating for these tickets, man.
I didn't know you were sweat. Oh shit, I'm the fucking idiot here. Okay.
And surprisingly, I don't think it was fully sold out in the end. But anyway, that's not to its own thing. But maybe there's something there with pricing. But at the same time, like you alluded to the fact that this is probably the most expensive film we've ever seen, because you are paying theatre prices to watch a film, but then you are getting the experience of a live orchestra, which obviously requires many skills and talent and all kinds of stuff, logistics to be involved. So you can understand the higher price because that's something different. I think when you're at the back and the tickets are quite expensive, when you're at the front and the tickets are extremely expensive, I wonder if that maybe changes the experience slightly. But we're not going to delve too much
into the economics of theater. We could, I suppose.
It's not the most.
It was like musical theater prices, was it?
Not the most accessible, like art in the world, is it? Theater, I would say.
No, which originally it was, and I love theater. Oh, if it was like £10, £20 a ticket, I'd be there every week. But I'm not rich. But yeah, we won't get into the economics of theater, but we will go into what this kind of added to the experience of watching this film. Mm-hmm. And for me at the beginning, it's kind of a jarring experience because you're getting used to something you're not used to. I've watched YouTube videos of live performance, but I don't know if the listeners know this. I only have one working ear, which you were making fun of me of all weekend.
I would not do that.
Well, I'm deaf in my left ear for anybody who doesn't know, and so I find like a lot of noise, a lot of stuff at once can be a little bit overwhelming. So for me at the beginning, it took me a little bit of a while to kind of adjust to how the vocals, like the voices in the film, were matching with the orchestra, which was awesome. The orchestra was like fully booming. But and then I wonder, is that just me? Is that just me and my lack of hearing, or is that just like the experience for everybody? So it takes me about 20 minutes to warm up into, but once I kind of got in the rhythm of that, I was really enjoying this experience. I thought it was really cool. Your eyes are kind of everywhere. You feel like you're going to be distracted by the orchestra the whole film and miss the film. But it actually turned out to be the other way. You forget how good the movie is, that it sucks you into these moments that you have to. You actually feel like you're cheating on the orchestra sometimes.
Yeah, I completely found that, because I guess our eyes were more level with the screen itself being in like the upper echelons of the theater.
Yeah.
So then you're looking down to look at the orchestra, and I wasn't really sure how I wanted to kind of view it, because obviously I'm a big fan of the film, but I have seen the film. I own the film, so I can see it whenever I want now.
Yeah.
So I was there was more of an effort on my part to be like, no, like watch the orchestra during those big moments where the score really increases and gets loud. But yeah, you're right. The film was so good, I kept forgetting. Probably didn't help. We had a few drinks, so I was like very, very relaxed and kind of zoning into the film a little bit as well. But there are so many good moments in this film, and honestly, I'm having seen Spider-Man 2 recently, which is still the best Spider-Man film. But this film starts so beautifully and has almost like a 20-minute prologue before you even get to Miles. It starts so kind of stunningly within Spider-Gwen's world, which is this kind of watercolor, blue and pinks and whites just kind of dripping everywhere. So incredible. And
my favorite aesthetic of the whole movie, I think. Yeah.
Easily. And part of the reason we wanted to see this live when we saw that there was a chance to was because the score to this film, I honestly think the score to this film was one of the best kind of soundtrack scores, everything in like the last like at least 5 years, maybe 10 years. And it just, everything works so well together in a way that I do remember the first film having an incredible score, but the music really ties the film together here. And it starts with this brilliant drum solo from Gwen, which obviously we're getting in real time this time live. And honestly, as soon as that opening happened and you kind of get the guitar coming in and it starts building up and building up, I was just getting pure goosebumps. like with a live performance like this, it does drown out the film a little bit, so you're not getting the dialogue as well. But like, it was just the whole feeling, the momentum. I was just like, oh yeah, this is great. I still think though, like I was expecting a slightly bigger orchestra. I feel like I could have gone for a full blown, I don't know, whatever they do in the big halls, in the big concert halls. I would have loved to have seen like 100 people on stage.
But then your ticket would have been like 300 quid.
Yeah, that's true. I just wanted it. I wanted it even louder than it already was.
I know, because I think it's fair to say the whole last act of this film is just one big elongated crescendo, which is so fun. And so, edge of your seat, especially it's so irritating whenever you get that to be continued at the end of the film and you're like, just give me the rest of the movie now.
I know. And it was so close to, we thought we might be getting part 2 this year. And obviously we haven't, and we don't know when we're getting it just yet. But I mean, I do think part 2 does work on its own in terms of like emotional arcs. I think it works. But
sure.
obviously story wise, yeah, you end up in a place which is a bit of a cliffhanger, but yeah, I'm desperate for more. But at the same time, these first 2 films have been so good, I wouldn't want them to rush anything, right?
Oh, 100%. Like, I haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse, the first film, for I would say like 3 years now, maybe, and I don't feel like I needed like to rewatch it ready for this film. It does a bit of a recap, but in a sort of organic, tongue-in-cheek way that really works for the film. Do you think they'll do that for the next movie? Do you think like can they do that again? Like, let's do this again. Let's do the recap, because they already made a joke of that in this film. So
well, I think because it's such a cliffhanger, I feel like they have to address that somewhat instead of just kind of like dropping you in the film. I think they'll have to do like a mini. I'm sure they'll find a really creative way to do it, because that's what they've done with all of this. Is a creative kind of previously on, the TV show wise. I can't remember. The comic books are very good at giving you a quick lowdown as to what's happened. I'm sure they'll find a way to kind of incorporate a comic book style previously.
Yeah, or I could see them kind of doing like a TV thing where they like collage the final act of the last movie and get you to where it is now. I could see that kind of happening. But yeah, it's so good, man. It was really cool seeing it that way. I think I'm the same as you. I think if I'm going to do this experience again, I think I would go to like a big Royal Albert Hall or something like that and go see like I said, go see something like Return of the Cane and see 100-piece orchestra. That'd be really, really cool to see. But I as an experience, I thought it was really cool. I think if people can catch it in their area and there's tickets that are all, fairly reasonable price or whatever, Spider-Man is worth to you. It's subjective at the end of the day, but we had fun. We had fun. I mean, like there's like 3 lots of drum kits and stuff. So we're not. I don't want to sell it too short. There's still a lot of people. The percussion takes up half the stage.
Drums. Yeah, composer's great. He's got a version of the film in front of him, and there's dots and lines going across it. I don't know if you're
just to watch that. Yeah,
it was really interesting just to watch. Like, there's some kind of tempo here to how the film's playing. We had
I didn't understand it though. I didn't understand. Like I was trying to I was looking at the white bar going across the screen, trying to match up to what was going on. I was like, no, this is not making sense for me.
Yeah, though it is interesting to find that obviously they've this is a very official thing. Like there's a version of the film here that's been specifically designed
it's not illegal.
To have live music. Yeah, it's not like your local choirs come along and set something up here. It's a full blown thing. We had DJ Blakey on the DJ decks, who apparently did some of the original disc scratching. You can tell I'm not a DJ.
Yeah, I think everybody in the whole audience would collectively went ooh, and like at the same time nobody knew what that meant.
Yeah, there was a bit of that.
I'm sure there were people who knew what that meant, but
obviously we said last week we weren't sure if Daniel Pemberton was coming. It was slightly vague. He didn't come. I don't know if he's been to the London ones. I know there's a video of him turning up at one of these events, but yeah, for Bath, he did not.
They would have put that on their website because it would have been incentive to buy a ticket. Yeah, I was skeptical, but hopefully, but I wasn't putting my heart on it.
No, I absolutely get. I absolutely get that. He's so good though.
He's a cool guy.
He's a cool guy. That score is great, and yeah, it's just I know, like, obviously I know how good a film it is, but yeah, just watching it again, you just realize how good it is, and the actual Spider-Man, their version of the Spider-Man theme tune itself is just so good. I was kind of hoping during the credits when they were just like full on going for it that maybe they'd play some of the classic Spider-Man hits and maybe check a little bit of the Danny Elfman score in there.
Oh no!
And I was like, come on, do it. Just give us, like a little crowd pleasing moment. Well, crowd pleasing for probably you and I.
The whole, just do the whole Spider-Man 2 overture at the beginning of that film. Oh, if you just did that, it would just be amazing. Doc Ock's theme, Spider-Man's, it'd be brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, and then do the Spider-Man 2. Ding, 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 ding. Plucking the violin strings.
Oh, the best gag of the movie.
Yeah, truly. It is kind of tricky to kind of review an experience like this when we've already seen the film and reviewed the film on the podcast. But just know that I think money well spent on our parts, I would say.
I forgot how much I spent on it.
Yeah, well, lucky you.
So I shouldn't press that question any further. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm joking. It was money well spent. And I really enjoyed it, and it was nice to spend an evening in Bath with you.
We had burgers before.
Yes.
Filled up.
Yeah, a few beers.
Yeah. We also watched Scream the night before.
We watched Scream 4 the night before. You've been taking me through the Scream film. So, yeah, just having another excuse to have you up in Bristol, Chris. Has been great.
Yeah, it seems like we're just like having little mini adventures at the minute where we're just like not concentrating on the podcast. But I promise you, it's for the podcast.
Yes, this is very much for the podcast. But yeah, so if Spider-Man Live is coming in your area, then make sure you go see it because it is a good, fun time at the theatre.
Yes, swinging into a theatre near you.
All right, Chris, I now want to do a little bit of trivia with you. I thought a little fun way of doing this. I did my Spider-Man 2 trivia a few episodes ago when we rewatched Spider-Man 2, and I now have some Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse trivia questions for you. So if you bear with me, I'll get that going.
I was mediocre at a film that I thought I knew well, and now I'm going to do terribly in a film I've seen twice. I'm fucked.
Yeah, but you did see this film 2 days ago, so you might be all right. But saying this, I mean, are you a fan of kind of like the behind the scenes stuff? That like, do you know a lot about the behind the scenes with Spider-Man?
I know nothing about the behind the scenes of this movie.
Ah, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Some of these are easy. Some of these are hard.
We can make some educated guesses.
Yeah. I think you'll be all right. Not all of it's behind the scenes stuff. Some of it is just kind of.
It's all right. Let me just get ChatGPT up here.
Hey, take it off. Take ChatGPT off right now.
No ChatGPT. I promise.
No GPTs, please. All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna start with question number 1 here, and I think this is an easy one to set you up. So
okay.
What year did the first film Into the Spider-Verse release? What year?
Dude, I was thinking this yesterday to myself, and I'm confused between 2 years because I can't remember. It's 2018 or 2019. I'm going to say it was 2018.
You are correct.
Yes.
1 point, my friend. Yeah,
okay.
Which kind of reminds me that this, there was quite a long gap between number 1 and number 2. And obviously we had COVID in the middle of that. But maybe it isn't so bad that we wait for number 3 because obviously what they were able to produce in that time was great. So
you're watching it and you're like, how the hell did they do this? Yeah. 100%.
Honestly, I think this is a revolutionary animation film, but that's just me.
That's just you. Only you. Nobody else agrees.
Okay, so the Spider-Punk character, played by Daniel Kaluuya, is made up of differing frame rates. How many different frame rates is he made up of?
Dude, I thought your question was going to be who played Spider-Punk, and I was going to be like, Daniel Kaluuya, and you just messed me up. How many different frame rates? Like, what do you mean? Right, break
His
this down for me.
character has a certain amount of elements that
get that.
in different frame rates. So how many different... I'm not asking you what the frame rates are. I'm just saying, like, how many different ones make up his whole character.
You mean like separate, like, limbs and stuff? Is that what you're talking about? Like images make a whole. Is that what you're saying?
Let's just say there's like elements of his character that run in different a certain frame per second, and elements of his character that run in a different frame per second, and so they all run differently. But how many different elements are there?
That's what. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wasn't really thinking about that when I was watching the movie. I'm gonna say 12. Just a random number.
Okay. This seems less cool now that you've said 12. It's 3.
Oh shit!
So his body is animated on 3s and sometimes 2s, which is 8 or 12 images, and then his guitar is on 4s, which is 6 images, and then his outline is on 2s or 1s, so either 12 or 24. Frames per second.
I said 12.
So unlike the rest of the characters that are all predominantly animated on 2s.
Okay.
So there you go.
Silly me.
Yeah, so you don't get that one, okay? So there is a Spider-Man universe. Oh, this is question number 3, by the way. There is a Spider-Man universe that is briefly shown in the film and was designed by a 14-year-old. Which Spider-Man universe is that?
Design? I'm going to say this. Is it the Lego one?
It is.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
It is. Okay. So I should probably get the name of the guy who did it.
That is amazing, though. That is cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. Let me just find his name so we can actually credit him. Preston Moontanga. He's the...
Well done, Preston.
He's the 14-year-old boy who made that Lego sequence. And basically what happened was when they first released the teaser trailer for Across the Spider-Verse, he created a Lego version of it on YouTube. And the filmmakers loved it so much that they tracked him down and asked him to create that sequence in the film. And he did it in his after-school hours.
He animated it as well?
Yeah. He did the Lego sequence for the film.
That's insane, man. I thought you were going to say he just made the set and then that's so cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool piece of trivia there, and and obviously just insanely kind of the filmmakers to go out of their way to do that. And
you don't even question it in the film. It's so up to par with everything else going on in the film. Oh, amazing! Yeah.
I think I'm very on brand for Spider-Man, if you ask me as well. So I like that. All right, question. You got that one right, didn't you? So that's 2 for you. Question number 4: which actor reprises their live-action role as an alternate version of the Prowler?
Oh, that's an easy one. That's Donald Glover.
That's correct.
Or Childish Gambino.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, they're the same person?
Oh, I had to break it to you, fella.
All right. Number 5. This is the longest animated film made by an American studio ever. True or false?
By an American studio. I mean, if your mind goes straight to Disney or DreamWorks film or anything like that, I guess they're all 90-minute affairs, aren't they? So it's too. I'm gonna say no, though. Just there has to be in something longer. I'm gonna say no.
Incorrect. It is true. It is the longest animated film ever made by 4 minutes.
Man. We've just been so spoiled by BFI 4 films that we just think it's the norm now.
Yeah, but then you got to remember, animation just takes so long.
It's so expensive.
Make.
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of American studios, which is probably what we'll find when we do the Ghibli Angle stuff, a lot of American studios do predominantly tailor the animation genre to children as well.
Boo.
Which obviously they have short attention spans. And they're getting shorter.
I know somebody else in this podcast whose attention span's getting shorter.
Yeah, but
me.
I still watch things. If you're talking about me, I'm still very good at watching long films. All right.
I am talking about you.
Okay, yeah, I know you're talking about me. But I am good at films. Films are like the one bit where I can actually like hold my attention.
I am good at films.
I'm very good at films. Okay,
You are, buddy.
You got that one wrong. Number 6.
Thanks.
So you've only got 3 points so far.
Right.
Number 6. What number Earth does Miles end up on at the end of the film? Due to the spider that bit him being... I'm mumbling my words there. Due to the fact that the spider that bit him is from there, and that's why his DNA gets mixed in the machine, he ends up going back to Earth.
Yeah.
Come on.
In the moment, I took these in, but then as soon as I left the movie, they all went out of my head. Like,
but the numbers everywhere. In the first film, they put the number in every frame.
I told you, I haven't seen the first movie in years. Has it got 6 in it?
No.
Has it got 3?
No. I'll give you one more chance to rectify.
Okay. I got 1202.
No. It's Earth 42.
Oh, man. 2. That's a 2.
This is not the same.
Oh, man.
All right. Number 7. What month of this year was Beyond the Spider-Verse supposed to release when it was originally scheduled in?
I'm just gonna go with my gut first of all. Something was telling me that was July. I feel like I saw July once upon a time. I'm probably wrong.
No, you are completely wrong. It was March. But I'm just going to double check that because I didn't actually write the answer down for that one. I think I just thought I knew it. So that
you'll be eating your words here in a minute. You look very silly.
I don't know. When was it actually supposed to come out? Oh, yeah, no, March. It was March. I was correct. There you go. But that shows you that I'm writing my own questions, okay?
He was sweating there.
Yeah, you still not got that one right. So, yeah, you still 3 out of 7. So
that's fine. No shame here.
Cool. All right. What video game is Genki playing when Miles briefly enters his dorm in the early hours of the film?
I did watch this, and it did catch my eye because I was like, "Ooh, did they render the real game in the animated movie?" I was like, "That's really cool." It was just the first PlayStation Spider-Man game, or the new ones, I think. Yeah. No,
it wasn't. No, sorry. I was trying to let you I was hoping you'd maybe drag it on a little bit. No, it was Spider-Man 2 of the new Spider-Man games.
No, man. Yeah. Was that out by then?
It wasn't out. No. It was it was like
come on. Yeah. Come on. That's unfair. That's crazy.
If you just said 2 afterwards, you would have got
Oh man, that's unfair. Oh, that's entrapment by question. So yeah, when you're watching that, he's actually playing the video game. It's not like an animated version of the video. It is the video game rendered within the film. I thought it was really cool.
I think so, yeah. And you can tell it's Spider-Man 2 because he's got the the 4 arms, which you don't really get much in the first game unless you got one certain costume.
I caught it too late because I remember seeing the mini map. I think the camera moves at that point, and you can only see a little bit of the screen. And maybe I missed the character. Oh man, dude!
Yeah, there you go. All right, question number 9.
Not an idiot.
Jeff Morales, Miles' dad, had a different name in the first film, or a different last name, should I say? This one should be easy because you can look at relations and all that kind of stuff. So, what was his last name in the first film?
In the first film.
So he was Jefferson something.
Jefferson. I don't know, Parker?
All right, I'm just gonna remind you.
Oh my god.
So I'm gonna give you another chance here. So he has a brother. He has a brother called Aaron, who's the Prowler. What's Aaron's last name? It might be the same last name as Jeff.
I just know him as Uncle Aaron.
Oh god!
It's just not Morales again, is it?
No, it's Davis. Jefferson Davis. That was his name in the first film.
That looks so stupid.
No, you don't. All right, no. But this is I've got. So this final question gives you a chance to get 3 points. Okay, right. So you can bring it back up to 6 out of 10-ish because obviously. So 3 points, right? Oscar Isaac has now played a Marvel character across the 3 Marvel studios.
Yes,
okay? Disney, Sony, and Fox.
Got this.
So, Sony, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. What was his character?
He's just got. I don't know.
You know who he was in the film, right?
I just it went out of my brain after I left. I told you I'm not. I've seen these movies twice, man. I'm so sorry. Right. I know what he is in both the other ones, though. I know both the other films.
Okay, well we'll circle back, but just remember the title Spider-Man, yeah.
Yeah, I'm so Spider-Man. Yeah, I know he's in Spider. I know he's Apocalypse in X-Men Apocalypse.
Yep, you've got that correct.
I know he's Moon Knight.
Yes. All right, that's 2 points.
But so I get points still.
Yeah, it's 2 points there. So
I know he's got a first name and second name, and I know
you can just give me like his Spider-Man name, like how the comic people refer to him as, if you want.
The only thing I can think of is it's like Miguel or something, but I can't think of the second. But I haven't got his second name. I can't find it.
Do you know what his Spider-Man kind of mantle is? Like his Spider-Man title comics is?
No, that's the bit that's completely lost to me.
Okay, I guess they don't mention that in the film. I want to give you like half a point for Miguel,
but it's not right.
Oh, it is. His first.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it this time.
Yeah.
I need to stop being proud. I'll take it.
Yeah, so you got 5.5 points overall.
Ooh.
Miguel O'Hara, who is Spider-Man 2099.
Oh, dude, I have him on Fortnite as a skin.
I know. I was trying.
You were trying to lead me. I know.
I was trying. All right. Well, I must say, I thought you were going to get more. I think,
dude, that probably beats any of the high scores you've ever got. Not to be that guy.
I won't give you 3 points for the last one.
Actually, no. Well, I'll take it. I said it before. I prefaced it. I'm not as big an expert on these films as you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it is maybe a little bit unfair as somebody who's like lived and breathed Spider-Man for a long time.
I feel like if I even bothered myself to like spend one afternoon looking at a Wikipedia, I would have got most of them. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's on me. I mean, you did well, though. Good quiz.
Miguel's quite different to his comic counterpart, I would say, apart from, the costume and stuff. He's definitely not a villain, and I wouldn't say he was a villain in Across Spider-Verse, but by the end, he's a little full-on.
He's full-on. I remembered him being a little bit more villainous the first time I watched it, and I was like, okay, I get where this guy is coming from. The movie clearly highlights that, and Oscar Isaac's just does such a good voice. He's just so good.
He's got a great voice.
Yeah, the anger feels like actually like it's from a real place. Oh man, I'm so annoyed. But I'm just angry. The only thing I'm angry with you about is that video. I'm angry with you about the video game one. That was mean. Like, was
it?
I know when video games come out, and I knew that game wasn't out at that point, so I thought I was safe with Spider-Man.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's good.
Are we still friends?
We're still friends.
Okay, good. All right, let's get on to the next thing.
So this is the section of the show where we catch up with our ongoing series, our blind spots on the Sight and Sound greatest films of all time list. We are slowly making our way down the list of films we haven't seen before. This week, we are on number 22, according to Letterboxd, which is the 1949 film Late Spring by esteemed director Ozu, as we already alluded to earlier in the show. The first of 2 films on the BFI list, Late Spring. So, yeah, this is the story of Noriko, who is perfectly happy, living at her home with her widowed father, Shukichi, and has no plans to marry. That is, until her Aunt Masa convinces Shukichi that unless he marries off his 27-year-old daughter soon, she will likely remain alone for the rest of her life. When Noriko resists Masa's matchmaking, Shukichi is forced to deceive his daughter and sacrifice his own happiness to do what he believes is right. So this sets up for like a pretty old school, simple story. This is like this is a very much a static camera. Well, not always. It's
Yeah.
sometimes can have very beautiful moments, but this is very much an actor's movie, which I really like. I really appreciate these sort of films.
Yes, but that's not to take away from the fact that most of the shots in this film are absolutely stunning.
Yes, it lingers in the moments, and there are things that happen. We'll get into that. There's a lot of things. This is a very prop heavy movie too, which something I really enjoy. There's a lot of people putting things in their right places. Things being moved and organized, and that kind of marries along with what's kind of going on as the movie kind of progresses.
Absolutely, and it is at the end of the day, it is a melodrama. It is a soap opera. And it is very much about the relationship between Noriko and her father, and a look at the way that Japan is changing. We're in 1949. We have the how do you refer to like the kind of American and UK occupation of Japan during that time? It's called like the Allies or something, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I don't know what the name of that occupation would, but yes, obviously Western culture was so heavily influential, especially going into the 50s and.
It's the Allied powers occupation of Japan. So that is the time period that we are in.
Good.
So, yes, very much a kind of look at how Japan's culture and traditions are changing within this kind of, I would say, quite tumultuous time after World War II. And Ozu himself had to deal with a lot of censorship with this film. He had to get the script kind of signed off by, I guess, the Americans or British that were kind of overseeing the whole industry at the time. Like anything that Japan kind of had an output on, so they weren't allowed to refer to a lot of things with the war. I think at one point they wanted to say that like Noriko was like working for the Navy, and they weren't allowed to say that. There was all kinds of stuff. They weren't very keen on them going down the arranged marriage route, because apparently this showed like a very kind of traditional Japanese culture, which I guess the Allied powers weren't comfortable with or kind of promoting at the time. So he had to deal with a lot of stuff, a lot of back and forth in order to kind of make this film. And then I think as well he's able to kind of play around in a way with the imagery and stuff that kind of probably at the time went over the heads of some of those involved with the, I want to say creative process, but any kind of censorship usually does stifle a creative process, but not Ozu. He's like, nah, even with this great amount of censorship, I will produce one of the greatest films, one of the 25 greatest films ever made.
That's what he had in his mind when he was making this. It's going to be number 25, or
absolutely,
at least.
Absolutely. But I think like even from a 1946 point of view, even from a Western point of view, I think, singling this film on a woman who is 27, looking after her father, has a very good relationship with her father, and is also like very happy with life, very happy with how things are going, to almost have this idea of like, you need to be married, and this kind of conflict within herself, within the traditions of Japan at the time. I think that was quite a big deal as well, even like wrapping your head around that. And there's many characters that kind of represent different things. She has her best friend who's very modern. She's even had a divorce, but she's still pushing for the marriage. And she has her aunt who's very traditional. She's dressed up in kimonos and, all the traditional Japanese clothing, who is very heavily pushing, like, you need to get married or you're going to die alone, essentially.
It's not just the aunt. Everybody in her life is pushing her in that direction, because it is against societal norm. And I would argue that, maybe this movie would have been so incredible still in 1949, but watching this through a modern lens made this an even more interesting sort of experience, just to kind of, even though the war is minorly introduced in this film and referenced, you can still feel its presence always in the background of a film like this. It's so, it's just, it's all upon the aftermath of something like that happening. And there's an optimism to the filmmaking and to Noriko herself, the first half of the film. There really, it does feel like a lot of these Japanese films that were coming out post-war, where we're trying to kind of get ourselves out of the sand here a little bit more and kind of show us, what our national pride is all about and our traditions and everything. But this one kind of honors those traditions and also questions them too. And it's so interesting to kind of think, from us watching on a modern lens, we kind of think, well, all that is disgusting. How can they put this on this young woman? But everybody is sort of a victim of this tradition as well. So it's really interesting. We can vilify the father, we can vilify the aunt, but there is real love nestled within there too, and fear for his daughter and her niece, that perhaps that she might not survive this world. But it also begs the question: is this just to keep up appearances? Is this to stop the neighbors chatting? Is this to stop everybody kind of becoming a pariah of the town, that there's this young girl who still lives with her aging father? And it's fascinating to watch that and just see all these little dynamics play out, and Noriko eventually potentially being gaslit into thinking this way. You can see how so many external forces can make a person succeed. And it begs the question: is she, you think, is she happy? Is she not? But all these things are going on at the same time. And I think the performance of Noriko by Setsuko Hara is just incredible, anchoring this film. Her and her father in this film are the two things that glue this whole thing together. Not just this beautiful imagery that we were talking about, but them two are playing off each other. Some strikingly beautiful, beautiful moments in this film.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, as much as there is definitely a reading, which maybe I kind of read into when I was watching the film, this idea of like, I don't think she needs to get married. Like, she's happy, she's having a good life. But there's also that reading of the marriage in a way, although we don't think of it in this way sometimes, it does represent freedom for Noriko to go off and live her own life away from her father, away from having to care for somebody in that way.
Sure.
So, there's that reading as well. And I guess that's probably how Ozu wanted you to read it. I think he makes a bit of a statement here by not focusing on the fiance at all. We don't know who he is. We know she gets engaged. We never meet the guy. We hear offhand comments about how he's nice and all that kind of stuff, and how he looks like Gary Cooper from the from the mouth down, and all this kind of stuff. But we don't focus on him because essentially the story is not about him. And I think there's a lot of kind of creative decisions that Ozu does in terms of how he plays around with scenes and all that kind of stuff, which is really, really interesting. And I love the fact that he left the fiance just in the distance for this. It doesn't matter who she marries. At the end of the day, it's more about the relationship to her father. And I think that's where maybe the reading of like the marriage represents an element of freedom for Noriko to go off and live her own life, no longer under the shadow of her father, is probably the reading that Ozu wanted you to have, rather than it being a downtrodden ending where, she gets, I don't know, sold off to some horrible person, which I don't think it was the intended consequence.
No. I keep saying, should we get into spoilers? But I think the ending is so worth mentioning. It is such a beautiful little crescendo at the end of the film, like this sort of interaction between daughter and father whenever the little lie that he sort of told to get her to kind of leave the nest, where he said, like, don't worry, I'm having somebody to look after me.
He has this idea that he's going to get remarried, isn't it?
Well, yeah, she's being told, she's kind of pieced together that there's this other girl that woman he's had interactions with, and there's been rumors around that they were going to get married. So that's the assumption she's made, and the father leans into that. And then at the end, we get the reveal that he was never going to marry anybody. He just wanted to give his daughter the catalyst to kind of move on. It's a real heartbreaking moment, and I think Yasujirō, who plays Shikichi, the father, he is heartbreaking. The guy's in his mid 40s when he's shooting this film, and he's playing an elderly man. He's doing it really, really well.
He is. Though that being said, the elderly man in this is only in his 50s, but I guess lifespans were short.
Life was harder.
Life was harder.
No, he literally says to Noriko at one point, "Is like, Noriko, I'm nearly at the end of my life." And you're like, "Oh, I kind of believe you, Jesus," in a bad way. But no, it's such a sweet film. It's not overt. And it is a melodrama. Yes, it is overt in that way, but it's not over the top. It really plays into the subtleties whenever it can. The performances can be big; they can be really small sometimes. The movie doesn't occupy a lot of spaces. A lot of this is shot in the home, and you just get really a lot of time to kind of live in these spaces, to believe that they are lived in, that Noriko and her father shared this life together, and you feel a sort of sense of abandonment and sorrow for when she does have to leave at the end. You know, there's a nostalgia that you've built up in this short 110-minute film. You know, it really does achieve that really perfectly, and and it does such a good job to like not vilify anybody, which could easily be done in a film like this. Incredible film. I loved it.
I absolutely loved it as well, and I just think, I mean, just even kind of doing a little bit of research on the film before and after, there's so many different kind of readings into different elements of the film, and kind of Ozu's actual narrative style and structure, I think, is kind of really, it's a simple film in some aspects of like, here's the story and here's the characters and the relationships to each other and here's the conflict, and that is beautiful in itself. But then there's so much more going on underneath all of that, and whether you want to dive deep into that, you can and you can't, but you're still probably going to get the same outcome of like, this is a beautiful film. It's from what I remember of Ozu's other film that I've seen, Good Morning,
which I saw the side eye.
Good Morning.
Well done.
This is the better of the two. But that being said, it was a few years ago I watched Good Morning, so I'm a different person now. But we
change, man.
We have Tokyo Story coming up, which is, I believe, in the top 10, if not the top 5.
Yeah, I think top 5. Yeah,
top 5. So I'm very excited to get into that one as well. It's a stunning film. Yeah, I was really blown away by it.
Agreed. Thank you, BFI.
Once more.
Yeah. Well, we got another exciting one to kind of jump us towards next week. Our next main show. We are looking forward to talking about Passion of Joan of Arc, which I saw a couple of years ago. Alex, I know you haven't seen it. I think you're gonna like it.
Oh, I didn't know you'd seen it before.
I saw it only. I watched it during lockdown when I went back to my parents in Northern Ireland. I watched it by myself. I forget when and where, but I watched it. But yes, I think it looks good. It's a good movie.
Oh, I didn't know that, because I always like to make fun of you when it's one that I've seen and you haven't, as if I'm like the better cinephile.
Well, look at this.
You've not rubbed it in at all. You've not rubbed it in at all. Okay. Oh, I'm really excited now.
And I tell you what, there's another movie coming up soon that I've seen and you haven't seen. So check it out.
Well, no, I know which one that's going to be.
I can't say anything. I only watched it like 6 months ago. I won't tell you the film now. We'll get to it eventually. Yeah. There we go.
There we go. Late spring. So as Kris alluded to, next episode, or at least next main episode, we'll be talking about The Passion of Joan of Arc, which we're very excited about. Now, Kris is away next week, but we do have a little special thing planned for you. We are going to be having the first episode of our
Ghibli angle.
Ghibli angle. I was trying to think of like it's still going to be the film angle, but we're going to be explicitly talking only about one film per episode, and it is this one is Castle Cagliostro, or Lupin the Third Castle Cagliostro, which isn't a Miyazaki film or a Ghibli film, but we'll explain to you.
It is a Miyazaki film.
Oh, sorry, it is a Miyazaki film, but it's not a Ghibli film. But we'll explain all of that to you and our reasons as to why we're doing that in that episode. And those episodes will come out as and when potentially Kris or I need to have a break from the podcast, but we want to keep things going. We're hopefully going to get a bit of a backlog of those episodes recorded so we can throw them at you, and hopefully you enjoy them as well. So yeah, tune in for that. But when we come back, which will be the week after, Well, it's kind of difficult to say what films we're going to do now, but like we can say what we're hoping to do if that helps. But,
wish list.
Things change.
I think 80% of the time, whenever we're going to watch this film, I think we're pretty good at getting ourselves to the cinema if we need to get to the cinema.
Yeah, we're going to try and watch The Substance, the new Demi Moore film.
Oh, so excited for that one! Yeah,
movie release looks very interesting, and it is already out. But we're hoping to watch it in between the times that we're going. Rebel Ridge.
Oh yeah, really excited for that one too. Yeah.
Getting a lot of good reviews as well, so excited to see that. So those are the two ones we're hoping to watch. But like I said, anything could change. We've got 2 weeks until that episode. But join us next week for the Ghibli episode. That has been the episode for this week. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to leave us a 5-star rating or review. We do really appreciate it. And if you'd like to keep up to date with us, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Film Angle.
We also have a Film Angle playlist. If you want to listen to what we listen to, you can find that in the show notes. Be sure to catch us next week for more cinematic discussions. Goodbye for now.
See ya.